All right, I've got 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the September 20, 2022 City Council meeting to order. I've been asked to remind y'all that when you speak to make sure your microphone is on so that the folks out in TV land can pick it up. And I want to, before we go any further, acknowledge it's not often, and y'all know this, you've been in government long enough, that you hear a lot of complaints and you hear a lot of criticism. It's not often you hear something good. And we had a comment last week on one of our employees about his work, his professionalism, and how he helped them in a problem. And that gentleman is Mr. Bob Morgan. And I asked the lady when I emailed her to make sure everything was okay, if I could share that with the council, and she said, please do. So Bob did a good job last week. He does a good job a lot of times, as do all of our employees. But when somebody singles you out like that, I think it's worthwhile to bring it to the public's attention. If you will bow with me, we'll have a word of prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for this day, for the fine weather you've given us, Lord. We're thankful for all the many blessings of life that you provide for us daily, Lord. We pray that you'll continue to bless our people. We pray that you'll bless this meeting and those participating in it, and that you'll go with us. We ask that you protect our employees from harm, and we lift up our military and emergency service people, as always, to you for your protection, Lord. We ask that you go with us and forgive us our many sins. Amen. All right. Got a set of minutes from last time, and we're ready to act on them if y'all are.
I'll motion to approve them.
Thank you, sir. Don't leave me in suspense like this, Cole. All right, thank you. Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. 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 Minutes are approved. I'm going to go back and do a little housekeeping here. We voted on the sewer use ordinance on 2 readings a couple of months ago, or maybe 3 months ago, and then 2 months ago, and then I was supposed to clean it up last month, and I didn't. And the cleanup part is we did not have a public hearing on the sewer use ordinance before we passed it on second and final reading. So I'm going to open the meeting up right now for a public hearing on the sewer use ordinance. If anybody'd like to comment on that, they certainly can. Well, my theory on public hearings is they don't stay open long if nobody talks. And I know I've caught everybody here by surprise, including those around the table. All right, we'll close the public hearing, and we'll go ahead, and as a cleanup, I'll ask you again to approve the sewer use ordinance on second and final reading so that we're not in trouble with the procedural part of the state.
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you, Caleb. Is there a second? All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, not all in favor say aye. 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 Okay. All right, public business. Anybody from here from the public like to address us? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. Punch that microphone there if you don't mind. It should be a green. Is there a green light there? Now you're going out to all the world. I don't know if it'll pop or not. Yeah.
Well, I come in to see what y'all decided to do regarding the drain in front of the house, and the ditch, and all that.
We hadn't done anything yet.
You haven't discussed it?
No, just
Okay.
being perfectly open and honest about it.
I understand.
But we'll get back to it.
Okay.
Don't give up on us. All right.
No.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. The first one, Christopher, I'm going to hold you for a little bit if you don't care. I've got something I just learned of a while ago that we'll need to ask you about as well, okay? Okay. But the first one in the queue tonight on the reports will be Dale Smith on the sewer report. So he rolled up to the top tonight.
I did get one quote for some pump station work I haven't sent it to you. Here, hold these, please. I haven't sent it to you guys yet, but here it is. It's pretty pricey.
Thank you, Dave.
This is the only contractor that's come back with a quote, and this is the contractor that I contacted last month, and he was pretty diligent about getting us prices. The other two that I contacted 3 or 4 months ago still haven't got us prices yet. I have talked to our engineers at Water Management, and they do approve of what the pumps he has in here. And the contractor, Scott and Ritter, are willing to do a time and material not to exceed this price if that's something the city wishes to do, but it is pretty pricey.
I honestly had no idea we were looking at a $250,000 project. I didn't have you had, so I'm not prepared to recommend this to you tonight. You're gonna have to take a look at it, take a look at where the money comes from. And so you've talked to Water Management about this?
Yeah, I talked to them yesterday and today, both.
Okay.
Are you expecting any other bids?
Wascon out of Crossville was supposed to get me a bid, but they were supposed to get me a bid 3 or 4 months ago too, so, it's hard to, I talked to them last week also and told them I needed one by Friday. On Tuesday, it was holiday Monday, and I never did get anything Friday and still haven't got anything from them. And I also contacted John Bouchard's out of Nashville, which has done work for us in the past 3 or 4 months ago, and I haven't heard anything from them since. But these are the only 3 contractors I've contacted about bids.
This is for 3 new pumps.
Correct.
Have we got to do them all 3 at one time?
It would probably be easier to do them all at one time because it's going to do the control panels also along with the pumps.
How much of this is material?
He gave me a price for his price on material, and this is just the pump material, but there's plumbing and stuff associated with it also. That's what's his quote for the pumps. That's not in the piping and everything also. So there's another, he said there's another around $40,000 worth of piping also.
The pumps themselves are listed here at $77,100.
For all 3. Is this fixing the control panel that the lightning hit?
No,
Oh,
that's,
well,
that's water department.
That's water.
Sewer. The pumps aren't the same as the pumps that are in there now. They're different horsepower and stuff, so the controls won't work with these pumps. The controls that are in there now are the same controls where we had fish kill a few years ago too, that was what the issue was. So they probably need to go.
And did they indicate what's the what kind of warranties on these?
They have a manufacturer's warranty, and I think Scott Ritter does a 1-year warranty on their work, but the pumps have a manufacturer warranty. There's 2 different pumps that they have in here, 2 different pump manufacturers, and Water Management said that either one of them would be good for our use, but I'm not sure what that manufacturer warranty is on the pumps. I could look that up. He said it's 14 to 16 weeks to manufacture the pumps. That, it's not just next month that they'll have pumps. It's 14, 16 weeks because these kind of things aren't in stock anywhere, that somebody has to make them.
So this is a build upon order type
Yes,
request?
they'll have to order the pumps, yeah.
Okay.
Any other question, comment? Y'all are free to take action if you'd like. I'm not gonna recommend it at this time. I've got too many questions about it, just to be honest with you.
I'd like to see the other quotes come back, and I'd like to see if there are portions of this job that can be done with other types of contractors. Because
Yeah.
digging holes, I don't think we need to pay a professional engineer to dig a hole if we can get that done cheaper and just have the site prepared prior to their arrival.
Well, they're not digging a hole, this is rehabbing the pump station that's already existing pump station, it's our main pump station on Commerce
Well,
Avenue.
But see if there are subsections in there that could be accommodated through other means.
Okay.
That'd be my recommendation.
I will work with Dale to try to get some more information and get that out to y'all between now and the next meeting, because I do know that we've been putting this off for several months, but because we didn't have any information, we didn't, you know, Dale couldn't get the information, so. Okay, he had sent this to me late Friday afternoon. I was over at the school for the homecoming, and then I've been gone. I just came back tonight for this, and the county, so this is the first time I've seen it. Like I say, I had no idea this was gonna be a $250,000 project. Okay, anything else, Dave?
That's all I have for you tonight.
That's enough, buddy.
That's enough for tonight. Okay.
Thank you. All right, Chief Hahn, fire report.
Good evening. We have had,
Hey, Chief.
in August, we responded to a total of 57 calls. 25 of those were in the city, and then 32 of those were in the county. We have been awarded for the third year in a row the AFG, the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. So in the past, that's what's helped to purchase our radios, our air packs, things like that. And this grant was written specifically for things dealing with the hydraulics, nozzles, hoses, updating some things, and getting some other options with that. So while this isn't as bolsterous of a grant as it's been in the past, or such a big project, this is something that would definitely be beneficial. And we just heard news of this Friday, so next month we'll have more details on that. The car show and the barbecue last month went well, so it's been successful so far. So, but unless you all have any other questions, that's all that I've got.
Questions, comments? All right, you'll have that for us next month?
Yes, sir.
You got a rough idea of just what kind of money we're talking?
I don't.
Okay.
So,
I'm not looking at $250,000.
absolutely not. No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. All right, Chief, police report.
You all have any questions about the report itself before I start on my other stuff?
New cars in and running?
The used one that we bought from Smithville is in. It's amazing. That's part of my thing. You beat me to it, so thank you for that. Everything on it works. We're going to have a new graphics scheme very soon, and we're going to incorporate the purple color and some other things. I will produce some pictures, but it's nothing, but it will be purple with some reflective silver and one of our tiger paws on the side.
All right, any questions on the report? Looks pretty standard to me, if there's such a thing.
Yes, we had 3. Yes, they are ordered. Yes, that was on here too. The update on those are, she said they could be in as early as December, but it may be January, February. Yeah, but they have not been put into production yet, the ones that we put on hold. So there's no way they'll be here anytime soon. She goes, you might get them November, but she goes, I'd plan on January. So that's what I wanted to deliver. But, you know, again, they probably won't all come in at once either.
Any other questions, comments on the report? All right, I'm assuming you got something else.
Yes, so our record management system spoke with TBI, of course. They agreed to be a little more lenient now that we have something in place, and we're working to get that implemented, probably 2 to 3 weeks out, just being that the folks that do this want to come up and do an on-site training, and they come from Memphis. I've been able to get just about everything else done just because, you know, I know that industry a little bit, so it's really gonna be good, and I'm looking forward to that. But that's the RMS, which is Records Management System. Any questions on that? It's $250,000. I'm just kidding.
We're about to go into a moratorium.
I got that look.
Let everybody go back to an outhouse.
Yeah. So, update on the building, they've ordered the metal door. Those are prefab, they have to be ordered to secure our stuff. So I spoke with Lee. Once that door comes in, then they'll be able to proceed with the project and do it all at once. Okay. Our awnings have been replaced and put up. Amazing, looks really good. Again, the vehicles. And then I was able to secure another grant from THSO, which is a high visibility enforcement grant, which is all alcohol related. So we did get another $5,000 grant from them, was awarded that. And we'll.
Is that a reimbursement grant or is it?
Yes, sir, it is.
So you gotta spend it and
Yes, sir.
apply for the money?
Yeah, and I think they just sent us a decent sized check, or it's on the way per them, and which was incorporated to pay some of that original the original big lump sum that we agreed upon in the council meeting. I got two more things.
Okay.
One, the police department, we're wanting to do like a trunk or treat ourselves, maybe the 29th out here in the back. Again, something that we're wanting to do, we're going to invite, people can come, we'll put some flyers out, if you all say it's okay, because I know it's city property. That's something we were wanting to do from 6 to 8 I'll have all of our guys there. We'll furnish all the stuff that we give out. So, but
That's on Saturday night.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yes, sir, it is, from 6 to 8.
Okay.
So, if the council would approve us to, just to be in this area, because I know it'll be
Sure.
a
I'll
lot of it.
recommend that. That's a good outreach program for
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I second.
All right.
discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you. We're also, we're starting to plan our first annual Meals on Wheels for Thanksgiving. We're not asking for any money from the council or anybody. We as officers will do that, but we just wanted to let you know that that's what we're going to be doing. We'll prepare the food, and then we'll figure out a way to who needs it in the community or whatever. But we'll do that, and all the officers will be at our expense as well, food and everything. But we
You'll
are
have
going to
more
do that.
More details next month.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but I just want to make sure, that I start that.
I would recommend reaching out to the churches because, if you want help financially, because I know of 2 churches that used to do that, and they had to quit just because of the time and the lack of help from the community,
Right.
and people wouldn't show up when they were supposed to and all that. So they may be willing to help or send workers to help or anything
Right.
like that too.
Yes, I'll get-
That way you could reach more, because I know the school counselors worked with a lot of the people calling to tell them about it, to confirm, and
Yes, ma'am. I'll get Dawn to do that. And also several of the churches always bring something to the police department. So what I had planned on doing, and I hadn't got to the initial planning, but is coordinating maybe something with them. Because, they have probably more resources to help deliver stuff than, 2 or 3 different patrol cars and this, that, and the other. So, yes. But that is something, we definitely want to do the Halloween, and we're definitely going to do something for Thanksgiving, but I'll bring you more details next meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds like,
Thank you.
sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, we got our vest in. Don?
Is that your model there?
Yes,
Okay.
Don, they're really, again, my goal for the police department, one of the goals, is for everybody to look the same, have the same stuff. So, made some rules and policies that, if we don't furnish it, you don't carry it. So, you try to give them all these tools, but these tools, were all bought with I think we're like $80 short of 8,000. So, with everything,
Is that the 8,000 we approved last month?
yes, sir.
The bill I saw was about $80 more.
Well, there was one for 4,300 and then one for 3,200.
Did that come down below 8? Yeah, I
Okay,
just
I'm
need to
sorry.
get it approved. It's all right, I just need to get it approved, and it's another one of those things I would have forgotten if you hadn't brought it up.
Sorry.
Well, let's go ahead and get that approved right now. We approved, the wording of the motion, I believe Laura made it, was not to exceed 8,000, and it went $40, $50, $80 over, something very insignificant, but still, it would have been something the auditor might have picked up on, so I'm recommending that we extend that bid to cover that extra.
I make a recommendation that we approve the excess not to exceed $100.
Yeah, that'll work.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Now, I said something to Larry a while ago when we were talking before it started about the vests. I'm glad everybody's got them, and I hope we never have to use them.
That's
If
accurate.
all they do is put them on, we never have to use them. Okay, so we got that approved.
All right.
I'm glad you brought that up. I had forgotten that.
The one on the vehicles. So someone that one of our officers knows, a family member of his, has made an offer on the Chevrolet Impala. Now I know none of us can buy them. I get that.
We can't sell it without having declaring it surplus.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So there are some things, and if you want to do them all at once.
Are you ready to declare that surplus?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, it's been stripped, everything but the cage, and it's sitting there. And
How do you want to sell it? At Gov Deals or sealed bids or?
Gov Deals, what happens is the car may not bring much.
Right.
And then when you give your percentage to them, and then it plainly says in their literature the fee they charge.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the car, let's say the car brought $1,000 and we only got 200. I'm not saying the fees are that much. I'm just,
Well, how do you want to sell it, is what I'm asking.
Bid.
Because we'll have to declare it surplus and then take a sealed bid on it?
that's correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
I think that'd be the best way for that because they're so,
Okay.
I mean, they are old.
So give me a description of it sometime in the next day or two, and we'll run it in the paper
Yes, sir.
and ask them to submit a sealed bid.
All right.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get that declared surplus.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes, sir?
I know you run it in the paper, but to get more exposure, we should post it on our HIP Watertown, because you're gonna get more exposure on the internet than you are on the paper.
I'll let you handle HIP Watertown. I don't get much out of that. I've got another name for it.
Yeah.
I won't say it in public.
I understand, but
Yeah.
from a sales perspective, if you'll get me the information you want me to add, I'll gladly post it out there.
All right. I'll do that as long as I don't have to do it.
So we also have a lot of radio equipment
Okay.
that we spoke of. The reason that the radios initially were higher than what we had thought was we didn't trade them. And he has called me since saying, hey, what's the deal? So he's wanting those. It's a communications guy. It's Steve Rich from Comtech.
Okay.
And he's still willing to purchase those. He wanted to trade it out, but I didn't think that would be a good idea because they weren't surplus at that point. It would still been property of the government. So, but we have quite a few.
Did we buy something from him? Did we buy any radios?
We bought some from him, and the others come from Wireless Plus or Comtech America or whatever it is. It's changed ownership now. They were not bought on a grant. The city bought them.
Well, where I was headed with that is we can't just flat out sell them to him now. If he wants to come back and reduce what we paid him and take,
Well, he's
give
very
us some of
willing
our
to do
money
that.
back and take this in trade, and we might be able to talk about it.
Well, now he's willing to do that, but I just knew that you all would have to be the ones that make that decision, even though I have it, like it was a significant amount.
All right, get us a number,
Okay,
and we'll take that up next time.
okay.
But back to the car, you ready for us to declare it surplus?
I am ready for the Chevrolet Impala to be declared.
What model is it? You remember?
Thank you.
What year, I mean?
Sir, I do not.
Will it be on
I'm
your
sorry.
report? Well, it just says car 1, 2, and 3.
Do we have more than one Impala?
No, we only have one Impala.
Oh, well, that makes
Yeah.
it easy. All right, so is there a motion to declare that surplus and sell it by sealed bid with advertisement in the Gazette and on the,
Social media.
yeah.
So
all
should
right.
we, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, if you bring that other back,
It's a 2008 Chevrolet Impala, sir.
maybe we can work something out on those radios that'll get us some of our money back.
Absolutely. I'll call Steve tomorrow.
All right.
That's it for me.
Got anything else?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let me go to old business and let me get to Christopher Lawless. And let me give you a little bit more background. You recall that Chris came last time to talk to us about the urban growth boundary. And he gave us a map of what our urban growth boundary is presently. And I think we kind of informally said that night, we didn't look to expand that any, but we wouldn't make a vote on it until this meeting. Friday morning after the county planning commission, he made me aware of something that I wasn't aware. And that is our urban growth boundary currently does not include this big block of land to the east that there's been talked about development there for 4 or 5 years. And the significance of that is if it's not in our urban growth boundary, then we cannot annex it, nor can we provide the city services, that type of thing. So we talked briefly about it, but I think what Christopher's gonna share with us is that it might be to our advantage to request that our urban growth boundary lines be extended so that we can have some control over that development. I don't think there's any doubt in people's minds here that the next big development in this town is gonna be right there. Yeah, I mean, that's where it's gonna be, and I had no idea, probably should have, but I had no idea that it was not in our urban growth boundary. So I appreciate him bringing it to my attention Friday, and now he can talk about that if I hadn't said too much, and if I hadn't gotten it right, just go
No,
back and correct it.
I can give you all the details on it as well. I gave you the same map I gave you last month, which was the one that has all the colors, and then I specifically zoomed in on the city of Watertown so you could see the parcels a lot clearer. And the first question was asked, and I'm sorry, sir, I don't know your name, but Steve, you asked about the little bitty blue sliver that went up to the north that touched Commerce Road. I looked into that. That is the Cynthia Rogers property. When the Growth Coordinating Committee first reconvened, Watertown took all the parcels that physically touched Newtown Road, which dead ends. Her parcel also happens to have a small 40-foot sliver that goes up and touches Commerce Road on that particular instance. Because there was the discussion of maybe taking her out so you don't have that overreach on a Commerce, but then you would also, if you chose to do that, you would have a gap on Newtown Road, which that would be the only gap you would have on Newtown Road. As far as the property holdings that are Horse Thief Hollow, which are immediately just out, it's a total of 1,592 acres, which would increase Watertown's urban growth boundary by 2.5 square miles, which is a 25% increase in space, if you're looking at the grand scheme of things. There are currently 3 parcels, and it's a very large holding. So the largest parcel is right there on Sparta Pike. It's got property to the north and property to the south. And then there's a smaller parcel that used to touch Hearn Hill Road, but has been recently subdivided off into 2-acre tracts. It's called the Neal Farm is when it got subdivided off. And the remaining part of that didn't get subdivided off is 173 acres. And then there is another large parcel of 690 acres to the south, the most southern portion that you see in the lighter blue, and that actually physically touches a large amount of Patton Hollow Road. So if you are wanting to expand your growth boundary into all of the parcels, or maybe just the one that does Sparta Pike, there is, if you choose to go all the way to the south, as your planner, I would recommend that you take all the parcels on the north side of Patton Hollow Road and include those as well, just so if it were to develop, you don't have a 2-mile gap of road that, you know, is not ever capable of being in the city of Watertown. One last thing that I want to point out, and we've had these talks with Mount Juliet as well. Right now, wastewater service outside of the existing urban growth boundaries, not just for Watertown, but Mount Juliet and Lebanon, is first right of refusal for the Wilson County Water Authority. Now, just by increasing your growth boundary, that does not get rid of that agreement. They would still have the right of first refusal, and that would have to be an agreement. If it came to that you all annex this, that you all are wanting to serve it, they would have to give up those service rights for that area. I don't know if you all are familiar with them. They typically operate on step systems. But, I mean, it would give you the ability to annex, and there could be an interlocal agreement that maybe you annex them and you give them the density bump that Watertown would allow, and you all just let a wastewater authority serve their public sewer, and then you don't have that draw on your infrastructure. And that, I mean, we're looking probably in the future, because you don't physically touch this with your city limits now. It doesn't stop you from annexing it. It just looks weird if you choose to do it, in my opinion. But that could be an interlocal agreement that's worked out if that came to fruition. Just trying to give you as many facts as possible. If you have any other questions on it, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, I do. If you mentioned you would make a recommendation that we include everything on the north side of Patton Hollow?
Yeah, that,
Choose this one, we
Which-
need to choose all this.
Wait a minute.
yes,
Well, my
ma'am.
question is, are you talking about this one, or are you talking about all this back
No,
through
the
here?
one that's highlighted in light blue is part of the Horse Thief Hollow
Horse Thief Hollow.
holdings. So it would be all the white parcels to the west of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
That way you don't have that, because that's, I think it's 2.2 miles
Right.
of road from your existing urban growth boundary down to Horse
Well,
Thief Hollow
I
right now.
thought that's what you were saying, because I'm familiar with Patton Hollow.
It's come this right here.
And it would include these two that
Yeah.
apparently have no road frontage.
It would include those two, yes, and it would also include all the ones that physically touch Patton Hollow. I don't know the benefit of not doing the ones without road frontage, because you're just creating a massive donut hole. I mean, Lebanon has a few, Mount Juliet has a couple. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Tate Lane in Mount Juliet. It's completely surrounded by city limits, and none of the residents on Tate Lane will probably ever be part of Mount Juliet proper.
So, I want to make sure that anybody that's listening out there or that may read the article that I believe will come out of this meeting, and that is we are not doing any annexing tonight, or not proposing any annexing, although I do have reason to believe that you may be hit with a second question totally on the other end of this. But for our purposes, this would go back to the Urban Growth Committee that
Probably
meets in
in-
Mount Juliet, and this would be our request.
Yes, sir. And that'll probably happen next week. They've been pushing me for a meeting, and I pushed them off till after this.
Yeah, and the mayor's been pushing me too, and he called me right before. I figured that's what he was calling about. You good with this? Let me ask you it another way. Is this good for us, in your opinion?
It gives Watertown a little more authority, because in Wilson County, we do exercise extraterritorial planning jurisdiction. So it gives, in this instance, it would come to the county for zoning review. It would still be county zoning if they chose not to annex. And then it would come to Watertown, and you all, as the city level, would be able to look at the development and approve or deny their request on their density, their infrastructure layout. It's mostly looking at is, if you were to annex it after the development, would you all be able to handle that? And that's what you all would be reviewing. In my personal opinion and my experience with it, it's a little bit of overreach by, if I'm gonna be completely transparent and honest, by the cities, and maybe the jurisdictions that I've had experience with abuse it. But it would give Watertown, it would keep you all for sure in the know of what's gonna happen on that property.
Well, let me say something that's related a little bit, but not a great deal. For some reason, the last week or 10 days, I've had at least 2 people talk to me about, Mayor, why don't y'all give up your water and let the Wilson County Water have it, or why don't you give up this? I'm real big on Watertown remaining independent. I don't like being at anybody else's mercy. So this, in my mind, is just a step for us to say we're gonna continue to be independent on this. I know that everywhere else is growing like crazy. I know that we're growing like crazy outside the city limits.
Yep.
But I don't see that to be any reason to destroy the character or what Watertown is or has been for many years. I don't see the reason for us to take any action to destroy that. Now, practically, if somebody develops these areas in light blue, they're gonna be a part of Watertown. They're not gonna be a part of Lebanon or Mount Juliet. They're gonna be a part of Watertown. So to me, it makes sense for us to do this, or to ask for this. Now, I have reason to believe the whole thing's not gonna pass anyway, but that's another, maybe an exercise in futility, but at least we need to exercise it. So I'm gonna recommend that we request that our urban growth boundary be extended in the areas in the light blue, and then what you were talking about touching Patton Hall.
Okay.
So if I understand your recommendation right, you're talking about expanding the urban growth plan to include the light blue and everything north of Patton Hollow and west of the light blue is indicated on this proposed
That's
map.
right. Yeah.
Well, I'll make that as a form of a motion then.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, now, is there discussion about this?
You don't, if you have any questions about the map as a whole, I can answer those to the best of my ability as well.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear on what I understand is this gives us the opportunity at some point in the future to annex to those boundaries.
At
We
the-
can't annex it, but the people there that were within those boundaries have the right to ask us to annex.
Okay.
That's the first step. So
Okay.
if we don't do that, they wouldn't have the authority to ask us to annex, as I understand it.
Correct. The property owner has to come to you, but it gives you at the city the opportunity to review their case and figure out if you want to annex, because there's also a plans of service that comes apart, and there has to be infrastructure. I believe you have 12 months in the city of Watertown, the way yours is written, to provide them, I think fire and police is immediate, and then they have 12 months to get infrastructure such as sewer and water
Okay.
to that property.
And as we've already heard tonight, we're already providing fire and police. So if we get a call, our people go and we get there before anybody else. So it's, to me, it's,
But, I mean, it would, even the properties to the north of Patton Hollow that are wide, I know some of them are smaller, they look smaller in comparison, but that large tract on Patton Hollow is 690 acres, so even those parcels to the west, I mean, they're large parcels. I mean, even if they were to develop on their own, you're looking at 50 to 70 homes on one of those parcels, just by county standards, more or less. Watertown has the densest allowance in the county, and that's 7,500 square foot lots. If you do that on 1,600 acres, I mean, you're probably gonna 100 times your population down here. It's just,
we're gonna work on that next. And Chris and Tom and I talked about that briefly Friday too. We can't afford to take in large blocks of land and then have 7,500 square foot lots. So we gotta fix that. 7,500 square foot lots work very well in a little town that's got 20-foot wide streets and houses built pretty much on top of each other. But when you get in the wide open spaces, you don't need to do it that way, in my opinion.
if,
So,
to tackle that, to help clarify your question, you all would have to create a new zone district, which that would be updating your zoning ordinance, which is very doable. It goes through, it would go through zoning appeals here, and then it would do a first reading here and a second reading at city council to get approved. But right now, your current zone district, because if you annex, you also assign it a zone district based on your all's knowledge and of the city. And it would most likely be R1, which is probably your most strict, but it allows 7,500 square foot lots, which is, you know, if you went to, you all have an R2 as well, but it's more tabled towards, like the townhome development. It does allow single family, but I don't think you get a density bump on single family. You get your density bump when you allow the townhome style development.
All right, more questions, comments? If not, I'm gonna call for a vote on the motion, which was to add these areas. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries unanimously. Now, I think, Hal, you've got a request from somebody that wants to talk about beginning annexation?
Yes, Mr. Joe Parson and his wife is asked, she was supposed to be here tonight, and they're requesting that we annex, farther around,
Out Parkinson Road.
right, and they want to sell property out there and, build, and, she's asked to have it annexed.
The reason I said good thing for Chris is here because he can tell you how to start that process. It has to begin with them making a formal request. And what do y'all need? Do you need it to be made to your office?
She was instructed not to be here tonight because you all can't vote on that tonight. I do know the parcel that you're looking at. They're looking to just annex a very small portion, and the first thing we'll get from them is an exhibit, and that'll be applied to at our office, and we'll send it, we'll have them pay the fees here at City Hall, and we'll get a copy of that receipt. I'm still looking in the process, because I found out about this yesterday, so I'm still looking in the process. I know at a minimum it comes to you all for a first and a final reading and a zoning classification for that parcel. I have to figure out if the zoning recommendation comes directly from you all, or if it's recommended by your planning commission.
But you're working with this now. You've had contact with the folks at House had contact.
I
We
have.
all know them, but House had contact, and you work, so you can steer them into what
Yes.
they need to do, and then guide us on what we need to do.
And that will most likely, if it turns out and you all approve it, they will provide an exhibit, because they're not wishing for their whole property to be annexed based on my conversation. They just want, to utilize the infrastructure that Watertown has with water and sewer there, because their site doesn't, have capability of traditional septic system. So they're looking to cut out, I believe, a 10,000 square foot lot right there on the corner, and then request annexation for 10,000 square feet of their property, because I believe they said infrastructure is within 20 to 25 feet. Now, if you all approve to annex them, they're responsible